Sean Kingston was one of the biggest stars in the late 2000s and blew up with his first single when he was only 17. But he fell off fast, and now it looks like it's all over for Sean Kingston after he and his mom were arrested by a SWAT team after allegedly stealing over $1 million. The story behind his downfall is wild, and today we're breaking the whole thing down. Sean Kingston was born in Miami, Florida, but his family moved to Kingston, Jamaica when he was 6 years old. Sean was around music from an early age, and his uncle is a famous music producer in Jamaica named Lawrence Jack Ruby Lindo. When Sean was in high school, he moved back to the US to focus on his music career. Sean built a fan base by releasing his music on YouTube and MySpace. Sean had a song called Life is Hard that was doing well on the MySpace indie chart, so he started sending it around to different producers and A&Rs. That got the attention of Matt Tobin and J.R. Rodham from Beluga Heights Records, who helped him sign a joint partnership deal with their label and Sony Records. At the time, Sean Kingston was more of a rapper, but Matt and J.R. saw way more potential in him as an R&B singer and pop star, so they convinced Sean to start going in a more melodic direction to make his music sound more marketable. Sean ended up getting a new deal with Epic and Koch Records and started working on his debut album, which is when he recorded the hit single, Beautiful Girls. Sean had already finished the album, and Beautiful Girls wasn't even on it. Take You There is supposed to be the lead single, but Sean was listening to the radio and heard a track called Stand By Me by Benny King. Sean got an idea and told his producer JR that he wanted to flip that sample, but give it a more reggaeton pop sound. They drove to the studio and stayed up till 4 a.m. working on the song, which was called Beautiful Girls. When it was done, they knew they had a hit. Sean turned the album into the label, and they agreed to drop Beautiful Girls as the main single, and it was a worldwide hit right away. It not only went to number 1 on the Billboard chart in the US, it also topped the charts in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Ireland, Spain, and the UK. Basically overnight, Sean went from being an unknown kid dropping songs on YouTube to one of the biggest pop stars in the world. He dropped his debut album in July 2007, which featured more hits like Take You There and Me Love. After that, Sean started touring the world as an opening act for artists like Gwen Stefani and Beyonce. By March 2008, his album was certified gold after selling more than 500,000 copies. Sean Kingston came right back in 2009 with his second album, Tomorrow, which was co-produced by Wyclef Jean from the Fugees. Fire Burning, the lead single off the album, was another huge hit and is Sean's biggest song after Beautiful Girls. But even though he had another big record, Tomorrow didn't sell as well as his first album. It peaked at number 37 on the Billboard chart after only selling 13,000 copies in the first week, and in the second week, it dropped to number 87. The style of Tomorrow was way different than Sean's first album and sounded more like electronic and dance music than reggae and R&B. So even though Sean was still making hits, fans were feeling his new sound. Outside of making his own music, Sean was also signing new talent. He discovered the R&B singer Ayaz and helped him get a deal with J.R. Rodham's label. In 2010, Sean also launched his own label called Time Is Money Entertainment and signed Tory Lanez, who was totally unknown at the time. Sean returned to music in 2013 by dropping his third album, Back to Life. He had another hit with the track Eeny Meeny featuring Justin Bieber. It was supposed to be the lead single for Back to Life, but it ended up getting put on Bieber's album, My World 2.0. Back to Life was still stacked with features and had verses from T.I., Chris Brown, Wiz Khalifa, Yo Gotti, Wale, Busta Rhymes, and 2 Chainz. But even with all those big names, Back to Life did even worse than Tomorrow. The album didn't even chart, and the lead single, Beat It, featuring Chris Brown and Wiz Khalifa, peaked at number 52. So, Sean Kingston's career was in a tough spot. His first song was a massive hit and still has over 1 billion streams on YouTube. But after that, it was all downhill. Sean still had a pretty good run and dropped a few successful singles while his career was hot. But by the mid-2010s, his run was pretty much over and no one was really checking for new Sean Kingston music. In 2013, Sean announced his 4th studio album, Road to Deliverance, and claimed he was working on some new music with Zendaya from Disney Channel. But the album got pushed back multiple times and didn't end up getting released for almost 10 years. While his career was starting to die out, he also started to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. In 2010, Sean was accused of sexual assault by a woman who claims he took advantage of her at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Seattle. Sources told TMZ 2 intoxicated women show up to the hotel room to hang out with Sean and his crew. One of the women claims Sean had sex with her, then left the party to go to a different hotel room on the same floor. Sources say the woman then allegedly had sex with 2 different men in the room. The fire department did confirm that they received a call about an incident at the hotel. 2 young women aged 19 and 20 were brought to the hospital after reporting sexual assault. However, Sean's people said the police investigated and found out the accusations weren't credible, so the case was dropped. But it would come back up a few years later after one of the victims filed a lawsuit. Before that happened, Sean almost died after a crazy jet skiing accident in Miami. Sean was riding a jet ski in Miami with a woman when he lost control and crashed into a bridge. Miami Fire Rescue had to be brought in to save them, and Sean was rushed to the hospital. He was in critical condition and had to go through open heart surgery along with multiple other operations. But he eventually pulled through and made a full recovery after spending 23 days in the hospital. Police said that the drugs and alcohol were not the cause of the accident, but they did believe that Sean's inexperience with jet skis and reckless behavior was the problem. They think Sean released the throttle while turning the wheel at the same time, which caused him to lose control and crash into the bridge. Sean slammed into the bridge so hard that his head, arms, and upper chest left a mark in the concrete. He easily could have died, and everything could have been prevented if he just read the manual or took a safety class. Sean was even found legally responsible and ordered to pay $180 for careless operation in an accident. But Sean's problems didn't stop there. Later the same year, he was accused of being in a hit-and-run accident with a $400,000 Maybach. Sean was leaving the Geisha House restaurant in Hollywood when he bumped into the fender of the Mercedes Maybach parked behind him. Sean was talking to TMZ right before it happened, so the whole thing was caught on tape. But Sean still denied it ever happened a few days later when he was questioned about the crash when leaving the club.
Yo, everybody saying you did a hit and run. Just tell everybody you did it, bro.
You heard him.
What'd you say?
He said he didn't do no hit and run, man. He's good.
About a year later, Sean also got exposed for fake flexing after he claimed that Justin Bieber bought him a new car, and Bieber's team called the whole thing cap. Sean pulled up to Boa Steakhouse in a $100,000 chromed out Fisker Karma, which was given to Justin by his manager, Scooter Braun, for his 18th birthday. While talking to TMZ, Sean claimed Bieber gave him the car just for being a good friend.
I'm gonna be honest, I got it as a gift, man.
A gift?
Yeah. Word? Yeah. You know, when you best friends with one of the biggest artists in the world, you know what I'm saying, you get all different type of gifts, you know. And this is one of them.
But a source close to Justin immediately responded and told TMZ Sean's story was all cap. Sean had asked Justin if he could borrow the car for a night while he was on tour, but he definitely didn't give it to him, and the car was already back in Justin's garage. Sean Kingston's people claim that he was just joking about being given the car, but that wasn't the last time Sean used his connection to Justin Bieber to make himself seem richer than he really was. It also didn't help that it looked like Sean was having some serious financial problems. In 2012, the IRS claimed Sean Kingston owed over $130,000 in unpaid taxes from 2009. They ordered him to pay immediately, but Sean refused, so they went after one of his properties. Sean's public image would take another hit in 2013 after the woman he allegedly assaulted back in 2010 sued him and revealed more details about what allegedly happened that night. The victim, Carissa Capolotto, claimed she went to Sean's hotel room for a meet and greet after a Justin Bieber concert where he performed. But when she showed up, Sean was laying naked on his bed. She was already intoxicated after smoking weed and taking 7 to 10 shots of vodka. But when Carissa walked into the room, she claimed Sean's bodyguard picked her up and threw her onto the bed. That's when Sean and the two other men assaulted her while she was too intoxicated to fight back. Carissa's friend eventually came in to save her and they called the police. Carissa claims that night ruined her life and sued Sean for $5 million in damages. Sean denied all the accusations and admitted they did have sex, but claimed it was consensual. But the lawsuit did end in a multi-million-dollar settlement. From there, it would only start to get worse for Sean after he completely fell off and started going broke. In 2015, Sean claimed that he was kidnapped and the deal gone wrong over a $225,000 watch. According to Sean, he bought a watch from a jewelry store called Aviani Jewelers. Sean claims he paid $185,000 of the balance, but stopped making payments because he didn't think the watch was worth as much as the jeweler said it was. Sean was going to trade it for a different watch, so he got in the back of the jeweler's car. But instead of giving him a new watch, Sean claimed the jeweler snatched the original off his wrist and refused to give it back. That's when Sean started freaking out and refused to leave until he got the watch back. But instead of giving it to him, the jeweler and his crew locked the door so Sean couldn't escape, drove him to a random location, then tossed him out of the car. When Sean finally got to safety, he called the cops, who classified the case as a kidnapping. Sean then went on Twitter to tell his fans he was safe and warned everyone not to work with Aviani Jewelers. The story sounded kind of crazy, but that wasn't the only time Sean had issues with a jeweler. In 2014, Sean was also sued by another jeweler named Avi Dabdab, aka Avi the Jeweler. In the lawsuit, Avi claimed that from 2008 to 2013, he hooked Sean up with all kinds of expensive watches, chains, and bracelets, including a few custom pieces with his initials. Sean even borrowed a $12,000 ring for an appearance on 106 & Park and never gave it back. During their relationship, Sean had written 7 checks and they all bounced, so he never paid for any of the jewelry. In total, Avi the jeweler claimed that Sean owed him over $226,000 and sued him to get the money back. A source close to Sean claims he paid Avi over $300,000 and they had the checks to prove it. They also argued that there's no way Avi would continue giving Sean jewelry after 5 years without ever getting one payment. But when the case went before a judge in 2015, Sean was ordered to pay over $365,000. If that wasn't bad enough, in 2016, Sean Kingston was sued again by another jeweler called Aquamaster. That lawsuit claimed Sean came into their store and picked out 9 pieces of jewelry valued at $300,000 and said he would tell his business manager to wire them the funds. But instead he sent them 2 checks, which both bounced. Sean even gave him all the evidence they needed by flexing on Instagram rocking the jewelry. Sean never even responded to the lawsuit, so the judge ruled in favor of Aquamaster and ordered Sean to pay over $300,000 to the jeweler. Around the same time, Sean was also facing another lawsuit from a jeweler in Florida called Hamav Jewelers. They accused Sean of picking out a $60,000 Rolex and $25,000 gold bracelet and promising to pay the next day, only to disappear and never bother sending them a check. So it seemed like Sean had a serious problem with picking out expensive jewelry but not paying the bill. He was also racking up tons of legal bills while not having a hit song in years. Even after all the lawsuits, Sean was interviewed by TMZ where he claimed to be wearing around $200,000 worth of jewelry.
About a quick 200,000 on right now.
Right there?
Yeah, about that, This is 85 right here.
He also said the reports about him being broke were fake news and that he was currently spending $25,000 a month living in LA.
No, that's all rumors because at the end of the day, if I was broke, I wouldn't be spending, $25,000 a month.
Sean said he spent millions of dollars with the jewelers who were suing him, but as soon as he was late on one payment, they wanted to take him to court.
I spent over millions of dollars with them, and just because, I might be late on one payment, I'm gonna sue him off for being late on one payment. That's not right.
Sean Kingston could have made a comeback if he just stopped trying to flex and focus on writing another hit. But over the next few years, he just made his own situation worse and started beefing with some of the biggest rappers in the game. At the same time he was dealing with all those crazy lawsuits, Sean also had a $300,000 chain snatch when he was at a nightclub. Sean was at the Penthouse nightclub in LA when he was approached by 2 dudes, which turned into a fight. During the altercation, they ended up snatching Sean's chain and fleeing the scene. Sean wasn't the only celebrity at the club that night, and Meek Mill and The Game were both there to watch it happen. Neither one of them was involved in the robbery, but The Game later accused Meek and Sean Kingston of telling police he had something to do with it. The Game took a shot at Meek for snitching on the track 92 Bars, where he raps, "Bang the rat shit at Denny's and fly herself back to Philly. She got a couple mil and she don't even know Meek. And ever since that nigga snitched on me, we just don't speak. See, that shit you got with Drake is like a slow leak. Blood'll be dripping like Niagara if I poke Meek." After dropping the diss, The Game also started clowning Meek Mill on social media. He posted a photo of himself with Nicki Minaj, who Meek was dating at the time. In the caption, Game wrote, "The last time Nicki held a real nigga. Hashtag 7th grade body having ass nigga. Everybody know you the wife, nigga. If she take her followers back, you gonna be back at 100K. Hashtag snitch. Hashtag rats will do anything for cheese. Hashtag weak mill." Meek responded by posting a photo of himself with Nicki and asked The Game if he wanted to fight. Sean Kingston then got himself involved in the beef by siding with Meek. He posted a video on Instagram where he claimed that he and Meek left the club at the same time and neither of them cooperated with the police. But that only pissed off The Game even more because he posted a video on his Instagram dissing Sean and giving his side of the story. The Game claimed that Sean called him right after his chain was snatched and asked for his help getting it back. The Game told Sean he'd see what he could do.
Called my phone, said, "Game, big bro, somebody robbed me. Can you help me get my chains back?" I told your fat ass that I will fucking see what I can do.
But a few minutes later, Sean called back and said he just got off the phone with Meek, who said The Game had set it all up.
Meek called you and told you that I had you set up and robbed in the club.
Sean then called the police himself and filed a lawsuit against the club for letting the robbery happen. Sean allegedly had Meek on a 3-way call with detectives where they both accused The Game of setting it all up.
Then you sued the club, called detectives, then you called detectives with Meek on the phone, let them speak to Meek, incriminating me and my fucking entourage saying that we fucking robbed you, nigga. They had detectives knocking on my fucking door, nigga, at my crib, nigga.
The Game also called Sean fat and made fun of him for getting beat up and having his chain snatched, all while his crew let it happen.
I wonder how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches Meek had to make your fat jelly bean smuggling ass to fucking switch up on his Instagram when you know fucking well that you got your ass robbed in the club, ran for all your fucking jewelry, you ain't do shit, your niggas sat there and watched you get robbed.
Sean Kingston's lawyer backed up his client and said that Sean never cooperated with police and that The Game was never mentioned in the police report. The lawyer admitted that they were suing the club, but it had nothing to do with Meek or The Game. If that wasn't bad enough, Not long after all that, Sean also got into a beef with the Migos that turned violent. At the time, the Migos were beefing with Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy claiming he heard Quavo diss him first on the song, so he fired back with his own diss track called Beat. They started going back and forth dissing each other on social media. At one point, Soulja Boy claimed that he texted Quavo his address so they could handle it in person and catch a fade, but Quavo refused to pull up.
I text him the address to my house. Who do that? Who do that? Keep it real. Who do that? I text the nigga address to my house, bro. Nigga still ain't came, bro. The truth coming out, nigga.
Soulja claimed that Sean Kingston was there and saw it all. Sean confirmed that Soulja was telling the truth and said that Quavo could have ended the beef right there by agreeing to fight and keeping it off social media. But Quavo never showed up.
Shit crazy though, bro, because at the end of the day, I was right there. Nigga said pull up, he want to fight one-on-one. The shit ain't had to go to no social media. Nigga was going to try to, you know what I'm saying? Nigga said you want to hit. Nigga said let's go, let's fade. You know what I'm saying? Niggas want to fight one-on-one. Niggas was trying to take it to no social media, no diss song, no nothing.
Young Thug even got involved to warn Sean not to get in the middle of the beef and let Soulja Boy and the Migos handle it themselves.
That shit with Soulja Boy and Quavo the Migos, let that shit be with them. Sean Kingston, relax. Cause we ain't gonna do too much playing, man, so relax, stay out of that.
But Sean Kingston clearly didn't listen because he ended up getting jumped over it a few months later. Sean was at the Sands Expo and Convention Center in Las Vegas when he ran into the Migos, which led to an argument over the situation with Soulja Boy. A huge fight broke out, and Sean ended up getting stomped out by the Migos crew. Someone in Sean's crew even pulled out a gun and fired a shot, but it didn't hit anyone. By the time police showed up, Sean and the Migos were already gone. Sean was later questioned at a traffic stop and was supposedly being cooperative without giving any names. The Migos were not arrested over the fight, but the game didn't miss its opportunity to clown Sean, posting the meme on social media with the caption, "I'm psychic. Sean Kingston's fat ass gonna get jumped in Vegas 30 minutes ago." So Sean was getting beat up and disrespected left and right while starting beef with half the rap gang. After that, things were pretty quiet for Sean. No one really mentioned the name Sean Kingston unless it was something negative. He hadn't dropped a popular song in over 10 years, and by that point, his fans had already moved on. In 2019, Sean was arrested outside of Dino's Chicken and Burgers in LA after he was seen waving around a pistol. Witnesses on the scene said that Sean's car was blocking the exit of the parking lot, which pissed people off. Sean reacted by throwing ice at the window of the restaurant to scare people eating inside. At one point, he pulled out a gun and started waving it in the air. So, someone called the police, and Sean was arrested while the whole thing was captured on video. In 2021, Sean was also accused of assaulting his producer and dragging him down the hallway at gunpoint. A producer who goes by the name Godlike claimed that he'd been living with Sean for around 3 months while working on music. One day, Sean called him down to the basement around 2 a.m. to film something. The producer claimed his phone was dead, so he went to grab his camera from upstairs but couldn't remember the name of the app he needed to transfer the files. Sean started getting frustrated, which is when he allegedly attacked the producer and started punching him in the face. He then dragged the producer into the hallway while holding a gun and told him to get out of the house. The producer claims he was left with minor cuts on his face and filed a police report. It's unclear if anything serious happened after, but Sean was clearly spiraling out of control. In 2022, Sean finally dropped his 4th album, Road to Deliverance. It was supposed to be his comeback album that would win back his fans and show he still had potential as an artist, but the album didn't make any waves and it really didn't do much to help Sean's career. By that point, it was pretty obvious that Sean Kingston was not making a comeback in music, but no one had any idea what he was really doing behind the scenes to support his lifestyle. Even though his career was nowhere close to what it once was, Sean still had an expensive lifestyle. In 2023, a jeweler called Dreamwatch claimed he was owed over $1 million for 2 watches that were never paid for. A representative from the company flew from Malaysia to LA to deliver the watches, and Sean promised to wire them money, but he ignored their multiple payment requests and failed to respond to legal papers when they sued him. It turns out that was only the beginning. In 2024, a SWAT team raided his house in Florida and arrested Sean and his mom Janice Turner on multiple counts of fraud. Sean was hit with 10 counts and his mom was hit with 8 counts for allegedly ripping off multiple jewelers, banks, and other businesses. The most serious charge was for committing an organized scheme to commit fraud. It all started with a complaint by a company called Ver Entertainment, who claimed Sean owed them over $100,000 for a TV he stole. Sean had purchased a 232-inch television from Ver Entertainment, but only paid $30,000 of the $150,000 bill after the system was installed. According to the lawyer representing the company, Sean has a sales pitch he uses to convince people to give him expensive items on credit by hyping up his celebrity status. When he went in to buy the TV, Sean claimed that he still had a working relationship with Justin Bieber and other big celebrities. He even promised to produce a promotional video with Bieber in it if they would agree to sell him the TV on credit with a lower down payment. But after it was already installed, Sean started making excuses about why he couldn't pay and ignored all their future requests for payment. During the raid, police also took several other expensive items that he hadn't paid for, including an $86,000 customized bed and a $160,000 Cadillac. Sean still owes close to $500,000 to jewelers he ripped off, and he also allegedly stole $200,000 from Bank of America and $100,000 from First Republic Bank. So in total, Sean and his mom are accused of stealing over $1 million worth of cash and products. Sean denied he did anything wrong. After the raid, he posted on Instagram, "People love negative energy. I am good, and so is my mother. My lawyers are handling everything as we speak." But he was denied a bond because when he was arrested, he was already on probation for 2 years for trafficking stolen property. His mom, Janice Turner, was eventually released on a $160,000 bond, which was pretty high because she has her own criminal history. In 2005, Janice served 16 months in prison after being found guilty of federal bank fraud, so they both have a long history of scamming people. It seems like Sean Kingston has been getting away with this kind of stuff for years and hasn't faced any serious consequences. He probably thought he could get away with it forever and keep using his celebrity status to finance his expensive lifestyle. But it's hard to keep that up forever, and it was only a matter of time before it all came crashing down.